Testing, testing. Hello, hello. There we go. I don't know. Technical difficulty start the day. Let's see. Refresh. Okay, so we have some housekeeping things we need to do today. Hey, what's up, Artwork Studios? You're the first one here, man. Good to see you, sir. Let's see. Let's pin a message first. Let's see. Let's see. I typically write TypeScript and C#, but I want to complete Advent of Code this year using Go. I'm spending my mornings this November drinking coffee, talking to you all, and doing just that. Alright, pin that message there. You're right, let's go, man. Let's be pumped. Let's see, we pinned the message, we need to create a Discord event. I forgot to do all this last night. I'm second? Yeah, you are, I think. I think you're second, man. Good to see you guys. Sorry, I forgot to do all this housekeeping stuff last night because of Halloween. I kind of passed out at like 9 or 10 o'clock and just went to bed. We've got a new Discord member. That's pretty cool. Yeah, okay. I'm going to create an event in here real quick. Need to share the stream link. Excuse me. Not sure how late. So my folks are in town this weekend, so I'm not sure how late I'll go this weekend, like in terms of like stream time. Like I might cut out at the usual 7 o'clock, but we'll see. We'll see how early everybody gets up around the house. Okay, the Discord event has been created. We've pinned the message. Lamps in the chat. Artwork Studios in the chat. Melty 1000's in the chat. Did you finish the article thing? No, I haven't. But I'm going to. I'm gonna have to do it off stream. I'm gonna have to do it like when I'm not learning Go. Because I really need to buckle down. And I need to focus on this, because if I don't, then when we get to December, I'm gonna be hopeless. But as soon as I finish it, I'll demo it for you guys on stream. You know, like I'll show you my progress. And you can follow my progress. You can follow the progress of it too on GitHub too, if you're curious. Because you'll see my commits and everything over there. Let me get you the link for that. What is this? Oh, this is Learning Go. Learning Go. Yeah. What's today's topic of Advent of Code? Well, Advent of Code doesn't start till December 1st. So December 1st we will start Advent, and we'll start all the Advent-related calendars. However, November is just about learning for me at the moment. Because I've played around with Go a little bit, but I haven't been very dedicated about using it every day. Melty, is that Google's new code? I don't know. I don't think it's new, but I do think it was Google who came up with it. Let's see if we can find the history. I don't really know the history of that language. Let's see. Golang wiki. Go is a high-level, general-purpose programming language that statically statically typed. Ugh, I can't talk. And compiled. It was designed at Google in 2007. Wow, 2007. I was in 2007. I was working at. Well, I wasn't even working yet, but I was a. Was I in 8th grade? No, 9th grade, I think, in 2007. God, my life was so different. But yeah, so I wouldn't really say it's new, right? I would say it's like been around for a while, but it was developed by Google. To learn. Oh, cool, ASCII wave. I don't think that would really help me learn Go though. You know, because I just like copy and paste an ASCII drawing and then print it. Let's see. I don't know what to make today. Work on your game, man. Work on your game. Melty, what's special about it? I don't think it's anything necessarily special. I mean, it's a statically typed and compiled language. You could learn C#, you could learn C++, you could learn, you know what I mean? You could just pick any of the static typed and compiled languages and you'd probably be in the same place. 2007 is pretty new, right? What languages are new if 2007 isn't? Well, I think C# would have come out not terribly too earlier than that, right? Let's see when C# come out. C#. I mean, let's look at programming languages and timelines. How old are you, Melty? I'm 32. So to me, 2007 seems like it's been around for a while. So let's see. When does there's Fortran in 1955? Fortran. So is that old? I mean, what's new to you? So why are you learning it? Purely just because I'm a human being with free will. I've used C# for admin of code the last 2 years, and this year I just wanted to try something new. I don't know how often languages come out though. Like I'd say that's relative. Oh, 100% it's relative. But you're the one who said it wasn't new. So I'm asking you, or you're the one who said it's new, and I said it's old. So I'm asking you what you think is new, or what you think is old. What's your cutoff? Because my cutoff's like, if it came before I was programming, it seems old to me. Hey, what's up, Butterscotch? Good to see you, man. How you doing? Butterscotch, you'd be proud. There was a gentleman here yesterday, and he was like, why don't you stream horizontally? And I told him, I said, you're late to the party, bud. Butterscotch has already asked me that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like programming languages came out quite a bit back in the day. I mean, all these entries. Like, look at the 70s. I mean, there's 20 entries in all these. I mean, I think we probably underestimate how many languages come out but don't ever become like mainstream or popular. And here's the 90s. 2000s. There's C#. So C# came out in 2000. I mean, that to me, 2000's old. Because I mean, I'm old, I guess, now. Or I guess I feel old. Yeah, look how, I mean, I'm kind of overwhelmed by how many languages have came out in each decade that they have in this table. And so many of them I have never heard of. Ballerina. There's a language called ballerina. Like, yeah, that's pretty crazy. They all probably just, there's a lot of them that just probably serve their niche. You know what I mean? Like they have a job and they do their job well, but they don't really need to be known as a general purpose language, I guess. Dang, I don't know really. Fuck. That was funny. Make chars from scratch, like don't use existing ASCII way if you want. That doesn't, I don't know. I think I'm just going to focus on the fundamentals of the language to start with. And then I think maybe we'll start doing some older admin of code problems. And then maybe if I feel good about those, we'll build a few projects. And then hopefully that'll take us to the end of November. That's kind of the plan I have in my head at the moment. Do you have a job? I do have a job. Yeah. So if you're curious about my kind of professional history, I'm pretty much an open book on that stuff. If you go to linkedin.stephenfreeborn.com, I'll put the link in the chat. But if you go to linkedin.stephenfreeborn.com, you can see kind of the last 10 years of my like professional history. But yes, I do have a job. I work, 40, 50 hours a week as a quality engineer for a company that makes a SaaS application, like a web based SaaS application. So most of my day is comprised of participating in like a standard software development lifecycle process. Bugs, features, testing, review, planning, grooming, all that kind of stuff. All those activities. We follow kind of um, an older software. We follow an older approach to developing software. It's much more like a waterfall style approach to building software than it is like an agile or scrum or whatever new fancy approach there is out there. Which there's benefits and drawbacks to that. Um, and then what else? And then I do a lot of automated testing. I'm the only person there that does the automated testing. And then I also participate in manual testing. Milty command LinkedIn. Yeah, I can't get the commands to work, Milty. It really sucks. I've tried using Nightbot and I've tried using Stream Elements, and so far no luck. I used to have the commands used to work, and I don't know how to fix this. Remote or office. So when I originally got hired with the company, they did no remote work. So this would have been like in the middle of the pandemic. This would have been August 2020, and there was no remote work at the company. So they let me work remote for like the first 8 months or 9 months or so, roundabouts there. And then they wanted me to move to Kansas City, which is where this company is based. So I moved up here, which is fine. We had family that lived here in Kansas City. So we moved up here. And then, like, a month or two after we moved up here, the company was like, well, never mind. We don't care. People can be remote, which, it's whatever now. But so I'm based. So that's where it's kind of weird because I do work from home, but I am based in the same city where my company's based, right? So it's like, is it remote? Probably not. It's not office, but it's more like work from home, right? So the probably half of the company now is remote, which is nice because then for the most people, everyone is kind of has the same type of environment. There's a few people that go into the office every day, but very, very few. Reading some documents because I'm feeling a Linux distro. Okay, man, go for it. Pop off, King. Tomorrow I'm gonna feel making a Linux distro named Ropati Linux. So tomorrow mood will be reading LFS docs. Man, you guys have a completely different idea of fun. I think I'm gonna learn a programming language, and you guys are trying to build a Linux distro. All right, so we have a couple of options here to get started. All right, so let's try to. I'm just gonna try to plan out my learning a little bit here. So obviously, I write TypeScript in .NET mostly, C# mostly. So Go is completely new. So I'm kind of putting on that student hat. You know, like I know nothing. You know nothing, Jon Snow. So, but I do have an objective, right? So I'm going to use my objective as kind of my guiding light. So my number one goal at the end of the day is um, have fun doing Advent of Code 2025. That's my number one goal, right? That's the reason there's no other real reason to learn Go other than to use a different language for this event. So I want to be somewhat proficient in it so it's actually fun, right? Because like if I'm sitting there and I'm having to read docs to figure out how to read a file from disk the first day, that's not going to be fun, right? I want to be able to solve the problem. So this is the overarching goal. So I think in order to get there, I think what I'm going to do is kind of what I just said. The first thing I'm going to start with is the language basics, which we've kind of covered a little bit on stream before, but we're going to go back. We'll do a little bit of refreshing. What was that web? Did anybody remember? Was anybody here when I was doing this? What was that? I use Arch, by the way. There was a guy who was leaving comments on one of my YouTube videos, and we were going back and forth. I was like, what did he say? He said something, and then I was like, yeah, it's kind of like the people who say I use Arch, by the way. And then he was like, yeah, those people are the worst. And then he said, I use Debian, by the way. I feel like people who use NeoVim, people who use any Linux distro in the programming world or the tech world are kind of equivalent to like CrossFitters in the fitness world. It's like, how do you know someone does CrossFit? They'll tell you. That's classic. Okay, there was a website I found that was like Golang by example or something. No, this was not it. It was interactive. It had a REPL. Maybe it was just the Go. Maybe it was just maybe it was just the tutorial on the main website, go.dev. Which I wonder how much that domain costs. Get started. I already have that. No, that's not what I want. That's the wrong one. Tour of Go. Yeah, I think this is what we were doing. Okay, so we'll do Tour of Go. Language basics. Tour of Go. So that's the first thing we'll work on. Oh, goodness. Oh, what the heck? There we go. Tour of Go. And then I think after that, I think what we'll do is... I think after that, then what we'll do is... what was the... Didn't somebody tell me there was a good website that was like... learn Go by testing or something like this. Testing. This one. This was it. Learn Go with tests. This was another one somebody recommended. Learn Go with tests. Slide that over. Okay, so that's the bait. I think that's where we'll start. And then I think what we'll do as soon as we get out of these is I think then we're gonna drop right into old advent of code problems. Because I think this is going to be important to start here because this is going to be the most transferable to this thing. And then if we get through old advent of code problems, then we will build some projects. All right, so that's the plan. And hopefully it all culminates into good things. Search TDD Go. If you like test-driven development, it's good. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, I like test-driven development. For sure I do. Let's see. Morning, Steven. Morning, Mohammed. How are you doing? Good to see you, man. I hope you got a cup of coffee or some caffeinated beverage. TDD Go. I think this is this the one you were talking about? Butterscotch? Or is there a different thing you were referring to? And also, if you guys have spent time doing this, like taking on Go as a new language, any resources you have, I am open to them, right? So the best place to drop them for me is in the Discord, so I can keep track of them all. Hey, what's up, Gun? You are learning what today? I'm learning Go. That's what we're gonna learn. That's what I'm gonna commit to doing for most of the month of November, right? I'm not gonna say every day is gonna be that, but I want to use Go to solve advent of code, and so I feel like in order to do that, I need to be dedicated about spending some time every day doing it. And the stream is a good excuse to do that, right? It's a good chunk and block of time where I can just write code for the sake of whatever it is I want to do, you know? So that's the plan of how to use November, because in December, on December 1st, we'll actually start advent of code. So my plan is I bought an advent coffee calendar, and then we have advent of code. So my plan is for the stream in December is I'm gonna brew the coffee from my advent calendar, and then I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna solve a coding problem. It's gonna be the best month of the year, all culminating with Christmas. All right, so first things first, let's go to tour of Go. Tour of Go, and we'll just start working through this. Do they have a dark mode? There we go. God love the dark mode. What's imports on? Yeah, imports on. That's fine. I'm guessing this is running in WebAssembly, huh? What do you think? Right, because this runs right in the browser, doesn't it? Or maybe not. It said waiting for remote server. Does Tour of Go use WebAssembly? No, the online Tour of Go website does not use WASM. The interactive examples on the website are compiled and run. Oh, yeah, that's why it says it's waiting on a remote server. It's what? Are they not compatible? Go.1.11 added an experimental port to WebAssembly. Go 1.12 has improved some of it. Huh. Okay, this is a distraction. All right, focus. Let's get caffeinated. Let's get the caffeine in the brain. I have no idea why it's Chinese. Do you guys know what this means in Chinese? I have no idea. And after November, what will you learn and what's admin of code? So after November, we'll spend after November, the whole point of doing November learning this is so that we can do admin of code on stream in December and I not look like a big idiot. But yeah, after we do this, with probably some smorgasbord of activities mixed in, then December will just be like solving problems on stream, admin of code problems. And then I don't know what'll come after that. I'm sure we'll think of something. As far as the question about what is admin of code is basically, so Advent is a thing people do leading up to Christmas Day. Typically every day they do one thing each day, right? Like people will have like advent calendars of all sorts of different types. And so somebody created this advent calendar, which is basically you get one programming problem that's sort of like it's like a leak code style problem, but wrapped in a Christmas type themed. And each problem that you solve unlocks like a piece of a picture. And the whole thing culminates with like a story. Each problem has like a contiguous story. It's just a fun nerdy thing to do, you know, if you like code. Go away. I know there's no nut November, but learning Go as a distraction, dude. No, it's not no nut November. It's no.net November over here. Let's see. Will you stream while solving admin code? I will most definitely stream. Yes, I will most definitely do that. That's actually how I started streaming last year, was admin of code related. So I will most definitely do that. Mohammed, did you finish the AI agent? No, I did not finish the AI agent, unfortunately. But you can still follow along. I'll probably. So I kind of have like two buckets of work. Like I have a bucket of work that I try to just do on stream, and then I have a bunch of stuff that I work on outside of the stream. And so the Casper will just move from the stream bucket to the non-stream bucket. But if you're interested in following along, like on my progress, it's on GitHub. So if you go to GitHub, and I'll link to it. And then obviously when I get it to a place where it's like kind of done, I will happily demo it for you guys. So this is the link for that project. Oh, I can't at you, I don't think, because I don't know how to spell your. I'll just copy paste. Does that work? That does not work. Well, anyways, here's the link. Gun's comment, we're probably getting nuked by Steven. No way, man. Gun means it all in good fun. I don't know why it's Chinese. Yeah. That's literally just hello world. Okay, nice. Very cool. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. Go figure. Squishy? Nice username. Thanks for subbing. Appreciate it. No worries, I got it. Thanks. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, just follow along there, and then when I get it, I mean, as we go through November, it's not like every minute of every stream is gonna be Go, but as I go through, as I make progress on Casper, and I think it's worthy of demoing to you guys, I'll definitely update you guys on it. I'll keep you up to date. All right, welcome. A tour is divided into a list of modules that you can access by clicking on a tour of Go on the top left. Oh, this is all just introductory stuff. The tour is available in other languages. Nice. This tour is also available as a standalone program that you can use without access to the internet. It builds and runs the code samples on your own machine. That's cool. That's super cool. Let's see, this tour is built atop the Go Playground, a web service that runs on golang.org servers. Cool, cool. There are limitations to the programs that can be run in the back playground. In the playground, the time begins at 2009. Let's see, November 10th. Time began on November 10th of 2009. All right. I've been through this. I should tell you guys, like, I've been through these things once before, so I might skip forward until I find where I left off. Let's see. This program is using the packages. Every Go program is made up of packages. Packages start running in package main. Easy enough for a TypeScript dev. I understand packages, modules. Gun. I've noticed that there's quite a low lag between chat and your responses, Steven. Very nice, bro. Live with 200 millisecond latency. Well, I'm also, the latency is also not, I don't always think technical. Sometimes the latency is just Steven answers one question, then Steven scrolls like 10 messages back in the chat and starts answering questions he missed. So I think sometimes there is latency for sure, but I think sometimes I compound the appearance of that latency by being slow to answer questions. So that's on me, or at least part of it's on me. For instance, math rand packages comprises files that begin with the statement package rand, like this. Also, should I move? Can I change the layout of this at all? Because the program is being run down at the bottom, and I think sometimes people say that gets cut off, but so be it. This code groups the imports into a parenthesized factored import statement. So this is called factored, a factored import statement. You can also write multiple import statements like this, but it is good style to use the factored import statement. So I remember when I was looking at this the first time, I honestly think this looks better than this. Sogo, what's up, man? Thanks for the super chat, dude. That's too kind, man. Too kind. Who's the guy sitting in the corner behind you? Oh, you like that? This is first off, you never have to super chat if you want to ask a question, but I appreciate that, man. It's too kind. This is Albert Einstein. This is like one of 3 Einstein pictures or photos. I'm a big Albert Einstein fan, which he wasn't all good, you know what I mean? There's definitely things to criticize him for, but one of my favorite things about Einstein is the fact that he was kind of like an OG side hustler. That's one of my favorite things about. So I read Walter Isaacson's biography of Einstein. That was a big thing that kind of made me a fan. Which, granted, there are definitely things about him that I will say are shitty, like the way he treated his first wife and the kid he had with his first wife was really shitty. I think he was known to be a little bit of a, what's the word? I don't know how to say it without being insulting. But yeah, there was definitely some things for, that I didn't like, but I liked the fact that he was kind of an OG side hustler, because the four papers that are kind of his seminal contributions to physics were largely written while he obviously was a patent clerk in the evenings, working with his wife, who was also his first wife, who was also a very capable and competent academic. And I don't know. I think that speaks to like your ability to make things happen in your life. Like you shouldn't let your circumstances constrain what contributions you can make to the field you want to be a part of or work in. But yeah, it's Einstein. Yeah, it was there at the old place. Well, actually, the one at the old place was a different canvas painting, and that's actually upstairs in our living room. This picture was in my garage for the longest time at the old place, but now I have room for it in my office, so I brought it in here. I remember someone said it looked like feet. That's funny. Butterscotch, the bigger the mass, the greater the force of attraction. I get that. The bigger the mass, longer in IT department. That means I'd have more people around me. You guys, that's too good. That's too good. Anyways, what I was gonna say about first of all, again, thank you, Sogo. What I was gonna say about this is I actually think this looks better than the factored version. So right off the bat, I'm rebelling against the Go. What's the word? The Go taste. In Go, a name is exported if it begins with a capital letter. For example, pizza is an exported name, which is exported from the math package. Pizza and pie do not start with a capital letter, so they are not exported. When importing a package, you can refer only to its exported names. Nice. Run the code, notice the error. Run. Math.py, but have pie. Go build failed. So if I did this, it would work. Alright, so I don't know how I feel about that right there. So basically the capitalization of the member or the package member determines if it's publicly accessible. I'm going to have to commit that one to memory because I'm guessing I'm going to make that mistake a few times. Let's see, a function can take 0 or more arguments. Add takes 2 parameters of type int. Notice the type comes after the variable name. Okay, so we're doing types after the variable name. We're being like TypeScript. It's crazy. Every language is like, you know what? Types go before. No. This time, types go after. No. This time, types will be after, but they will be preceded by a colon. I love lamp. I like your emoji game. I love lamp. This is my favorite emoji game. This is how I currently feel about the factored import statement syntax. I feel very emotional. Membership power, yes. We actually have let's see, we have 100 and I should have updated that today and I forgot to. I haven't heard back from YouTube support if they're going to allow me to have access to that endpoint to get that information programmatically. We have 103 members currently on the channel, so if you're a member, thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. All right, we can kind of speed through some of this stuff because I've done these sections. Functions continued. When 2 or more consecutive name function parameters share a type, you can omit the type from all but the last. I don't think I like that. I think that's confusing. but nice to know you can do that. A function can return any number of results. The swap function returns 2 strings. Okay, so you can return an arbitrary number of types, almost like a type tuple. But I guess you can return more than 2 things, right? Because I guess I could do like Z here, and this would still work. But I just have to update this, and then update this. Assignment mismatch. Oh, so I'd have to also. Do they have a discard? No, they don't have a discard. Oh, I think it's because I'm not passing in another string here. Two variables, but swap returns 3. Declared but not used? That's a compiler error? I don't remember that. Is that a thing? Go. Declared and unused compiler error? That kind of, okay. The declared and not used error in Go signifies that a variable has been declared within a scope. Wow. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Does anybody else feel that way? That's annoying, man. Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna comment out a lot of code. All right. Hold on, I gotta blow my nose real quick. One sec. I'm back. All right, Go's return values may be named. If so, they are treated as variables defined at the top of the function. These names should be used to document the meaning of the return values. A return statement without arguments returns the named return values. This is known as a naked return. Naked return statements should only be used in short functions, as with the example shown here. They can harm readability in longer functions. Okay, I see what they're saying. So they're basically saying, hey, you declared X and Y as return values, and then you're using those return values in your function here. And then because you're returning nothing, implicitly these are returned. That's so confusing. Why would anyone do this ever? Why? That's like so annoying. You cannot have unused var and Go. That's tough, man. That's tough. I mean, it's probably a good thing in some cases, but when you're like when you're learning and you're writing code for exploratory reasons, you're gonna have things that you just write to write them. So I guess I'll just be commenting out a lot of code. GC. Yeah, I don't know why anyone would ever do this. This is confusing as fuck. The var statement declares a list of variables as in function argument lists. The type is last. So bool, these are all bools right here. Okay. The var statement can be at package or function level. We see both in this example. So you can declare a var within a scope, or you can declare it globally. Good to know. A var declaration can include initializers, one per variable. Oh, because you're saying, okay, I'm declaring two variables of type int, and I'm assigning the values of 1 and 2. Inside a function, the short assignment statement can be used in place of a var declaration with an implicit type. Outside a function, every statement begins with a keyword, and so the short assignment construct is not available. Which means you can't do this outside of the function. Okay. But you could do var int like this, and that would be fine. Interesting. This isn't angry that A is not used anywhere. That's interesting. Okay, good to know. Go's basic types are bool, string, all the int types. Give me all the int types. A byte, a rune. I like that. I like that name. A rune. A float 32, float 64, a complex 64, and a complex 128. When you need an integer value, you should use int unless you have a specific reason to use a sized or unsized integer type. So that's kind of like C#. I mean, C#, use int, start with int and then only change if you have a very good reason to use something different. Variables declared without an implicit initial value are given their zero value. The zero value is 0 for numeric types, false for the Boolean type, and empty string for strings. Oh, I like that. I like that that's the default, or the zero value for strings is an empty string and not null or nil or whatever Go uses to represent that. That is a good choice. The expression t of value converts the value t to the type t, some numeric conversions. So you can go from an int to a float, and then from a float to uint. Yep, or you can do the shorthand assignment. Unlike in C and Go, assignment between items of different type requires an explicit conversion. Try removing the float 64 or uint conversions in the example and see what happens. Try removing the float. Well, I don't think anything should just. Okay, that's annoying. See, now it's all angry because I get the point. You need to explicitly convert it. Sorry, not hearing much Steven chatting with Lamp about his distro. No, I mean, you guys do your thing. You don't have to chat the whole time, No worries at all. You have to really think before writing a single line in Go. Yeah. Well, yeah, you better, if you can't have unused code, you better be 100% certain it's gonna be used if you want to stick it in there. Right? Let's see. When declaring a variable without specifying an explicit type, the variable's type is inferred from the value of the right-hand side. Wonderful. When the right-hand side of the declaration is typed, the new variable is of that same type. Okay? But when the right-hand side contains an untyped numeric constant, the new variable may be an int, float 64, or complex 128, depending on the precision of the constant. Try changing the initial value of v in the example code and observe how its type is affected. Okay, that's an int, but you're saying if I do like 4.7, that's going to change it? Now it's a float, and then if I do... And now it's a complex. Okay, that's good to know. Constants are declared with variables Constants are declared like variables, but with the const keyword. Constants can be characters, strings, booleans, or numeric values. Consts cannot be declared using the shorthand assignment. Is that, yeah, shorthand operator. Pi equals 3.4. Nice. Run. But it can be implicit. That's that. It can be implicit because this is not explicitly typed. Numeric constants are high precision values. An untyped constant takes the type needed by its context. An int can store at maximum a 64-bit integer and sometimes less. You finished this lesson? Nah. Okay, cool. Let's go on. Now we're into the loop. Okay, I found this actually super fascinating about Go. Like, Go just has one looping construct. Saiba, why not use Rust? Why not try Zig? Why not try 100 other programming languages? I just picked Go just cause. Just cause. I think back at, if we rewind the clock 6 months ago, I had a chat. I have a member named Stefan who was learning Go at the time, and he was like, "Hey, I'm learning Go. I really like it. I think you should give it a try." So that was the first thing. Then at some point, TypeScript announced they were rewriting the TypeScript compiler in Go. And I'm a big fan of Anders Hallsberg, and the fact that he was like, yeah, we should, the fact that Anders Hallsberg was like, I fuck with Go, I was like, okay, well, maybe I should give it a try too. And then I got to thinking, like, I don't want to do Advent of Code this year in C# again. And for all those reasons, I kind of just culminated to where I'm sitting at today, where it's like, I think I'm going to learn Go to do Advent of Code. Maybe next year it'll be Rust. But yeah, the answer to your question doesn't really have a good answer other than I'm a 32-year-old man and a grown adult, and I can do what I want in my free time. And I've decided to learn Go. I wish I had a more intellectual answer to that question, but I don't. But anyways, yes, I find the fact that we just have one looping construct in Go actually kind of nice. The init and post statements are optional. The init and post statements are optional. So this is init, this is the init, and this is the post, and then you have something to do after each loop. Oh no, this is the right, hold on. Yes, okay. So this is the init is missing, and then the post is missing. And this is our operation, this is our conditional. At that point, you can drop the semicolons, and C's while is spelled for in Go. That's funny. C's while is spelled for in Go. Nice. If you omit the loop condition, if loops forever, so an infinite loop is compactly expressed. I'm guessing it's just going to time out or something. Yeah, timeout. Okay. Go's if statements are like its for loops. The expression need not be surrounded by parens, but the braces are required. That's such a weird decision too, right? For a language, it's like we're not going to use semicolons and we're not going to use parentheses, but you need to still use curly braces. What an interesting stylistic like mishmash of opinions, right? Because typically you have people who are like, give me all the semis, give me all the curly braces, give me all the parentheses. And then you have people who are like, on the Python side of that argument, they're like, give me none of it. None of it. I just want white space. So can you, though, I have a question about this from a Go style. Even if you can do that, can I add them? Okay, so I can write them, and like I can add semis. Okay, so so that's not really stylistically Go, but that is definitely more code that I'm used to writing. So theoretically, I could write kind of a JavaScripty looking version of Go or a C# looking version of Go, and it would run. Oh, but you can't put them on separate lines, so they have to be a KNR style early brace. That's interesting. Okay. Steven's gonna tell you the thing he's been telling us for ages. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't find your question, it's not that I don't find your question justified. It's a justifiable question because maybe I do have a really good reason why I'm using Go and not using Rust, right? So it's a justifiable question, but I don't have a good reason. It's just something new and something different and something to make programming interesting, you know? Learning new things is fun. But there's an unlimited things to learn, so you kind of have to start somewhere. Variables declared inside an if short statement are also available inside any of the else blocks. I wish this could be expanded further to the left, or I wish I could turn off word wrapping in this editor, because I find the word wrapping actually makes this harder to read. Okay, basically what they're saying is if you define v here in the if, then you can also use it down here in the else block, which is good to know. Okay, here's an exercise for us. Loops and functions. As a way to play with functions and loops, let's implement a square root function. Given a number x, we want to find the number z for which z squared is most nearly x. What? What? Hold on. We want to find the number z for which z squared is most nearly x. Computers typically compute the square root of x using a loop, starting with some guess, z. We can adjust z based on how close z squared is to x, producing a better guess. Repeating this adjustment makes the guess better and better until we reach an answer that is as close to the actual square root as can be. Implement this in the function square root provided. A decent starting guess for z is 1, no matter what the input. To begin with, repeat the calculation 10 times and print z along the way. See how close you get to the answer for various values of x, and how quickly the guess improves. Hint, to declare and initialize the floating point value, give it a floating point syntax or use a conversion. Next, change the loop condition to stop once the value has stopped changing, or only changes by a very small amount. See if that's more or fewer than 10 iterations. Try other initial guesses for z, like x or x squared. How close are your function results to the math.square root in the standard library? Somebody's a little bit of a math nerd here. This general approach is called Newton's method. It works well for many functions, but especially well for square root. Interesting. Okay, I'm not sure I understand how to do this, but I'm going to try. Alright. So we have a starting guess. Let's see. La 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 la. A decent starting guess for z is 1. So starting guess equals 1.0. And then we need to loop. Well, I guess we could actually just call this guess, right? And then here's where we need to loop. And then down here we're going to return something, so I guess we'll return guess for now. So I could do semis. Like I could add semis here, right? And then let's also make one here that says max guesses equals 10. And while I is less than, or I equals 10, and then while I is less than 10, we will loop, and at the end of each loop we'll increment. Then we'll do format.println for now. I guess. See if this runs. Undefined max guesses. Oh, that's. I'm guessing that's going to happen about 10 billion more times. Declared and not used max guesses. Ah, that's so annoying. Undefined I. Oh my god. Oh my goodness, this is gonna be so painful, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, so we have okay, cool. So we have okay, so then we can actually use max guesses here, which is where I should have used it originally. Okay, now what we need to do is basically we just need to repeat this adjustment and make the guess better until we reach an answer that is close to the actual square root as we can be. So this is the calculation we need to implement, is this. So if I do guess minus x divide by 2 times guess, like that. And then I guess I want to print it each time, don't I? Format dot print line. Yes. I know this is thrilling content. So what is the square root of 2? I don't know. Square root of 2. 1.41. Okay, interesting. That's cool. I've never ever thought, I wonder how they implement square root. I always just go to the calculator and do square root of 2. Butterscotch, use the short. Yes, you're right. That's what I should use. And 100,000 more times, I'm gonna forget the damn colon. Okay, cool. We did that. Nice. On to the next one. Let's see. A switch statement is a shorter way to write a sequence of if-else statements. Nice. They have a switch statement. I like me some switch statements. It runs the first case whose value is equal to the condition expression. Go switch is like the one in C, C++, Java, JavaScript, and PHP, except that Go only runs the selected case, not all the cases that follow. In effect, the break statement that is needed at the end of each case in those languages is provided automatically in Go. Another important difference is that Go's switch cases need not be constants, and the values involved need not be integers. Nice. I like the omission of the break. I think I like that you don't need the break. How many of you guys have written a switch statement and been bitten by a bug where there's a fall through on your switch statement because you forgot this word? That's happened to me before. So I like that decision. I'm sure there's some people who are like, no, I want to be explicit with break, but I feel like this has bitten me the other way of the break being required has bitten me more times than it would ever be helpful. So I like that decision. It's interesting, like I'm finding now that I know programming languages this time around, learning a language, I feel like it's interesting to hear myself talk about this because I'm finding that like, oh, I do have actual sort of taste or my own sort of taste about what I like and what I don't like about languages, which is kind of interesting. Because the first time around when you're learning a language, you really don't know what to think, because you haven't seen enough before to begin with. It's just kind of interesting to see your opinions develop over time. Yeah, not writing used to break my code. Yeah, I've definitely introduced bugs before because I've forgotten a break, and then I'm sitting there trying to figure out why is this behavior happening? And oh shit, I forgot a keyword somewhere. Switch cases evaluate from top to bottom. Okay, easy enough. Excuse me. Without a condition, switch without a condition is the same as switch true. That's very succinct. Because how many times is that what you're asking with your conditional, right? Is you're asking, hey, is this thing true? So I like this. Okay, this is probably this is the weirdest keyword to me in all of Go. Defer. And I still don't quite understand why you need this, because it when you're reading code, most of the time you're reading it top to bottom, and your brain thinks of the execution flow as happening, okay, this, now this, now this, now this. And this defer keyword is weird because it's basically saying, like in this example, it's basically saying defer means I'm not gonna do whatever comes after this keyword until we've left the current scope, which is really, I think it makes it hard for your brain to reason about things. But I guess the usefulness of this is so that you don't forget, like if you open a file and then you say defer file.close or something, it protects you from forgetting to call that down below, I guess. This is kind of weird. To me, this is a readability thing, right? This is almost like what they were talking about earlier about how you can declare a function. So you can declare a function, let's say test, and you can then say, you can have a named return value that you then use in the body of the function. So you can say x equals 1.2, and then you can just return. I think this is what they were saying, right? Yeah, this seems like a readability thing. I'm not sure why you would want to do this. Unexpected name int after top level declaration. Can you not do that? Oh, do you have to wrap this into parentheses? Yeah, see that's weird to me. Like the readability here, no bueno. And then this readability is like, I understand the value, but I also am like, okay, so we're gonna print hello world. Okay, now I have to hold on to that. Now we're gonna print hello. Okay, now then defer is gonna run. Our work studios. Listening to this feels soothing. Well, I'm glad it's soothing for you, man. I'm glad you're here. What do you think about like the AIification of programming? Do you ever worry jobs like web dev and app dev could drop because of like the ease now, especially for non-coders? I don't. Reciprocal, good to see you here, man. Also, nice profile picture. That looks very cool. I don't worry about this personally. I think I have kind of a unique viewpoint on this. So I went to school for biochemistry, and I have had multiple careers before working in technology or doing anything with programming. So this concern that like AI is going to take my job, one, I'm not concerned it is, because I've worked with the large language models and used them as both a user and as a developer enough to tell you that like they're not good enough. They're not good enough. They're very useful and they can help good developers be that much better, but they're not going to replace them. But on top of that, even if the opposite of my belief is true, if AI really does, if Sam Altman really does, you know, I think there's a bunch of people that have said it. Amadei, Anthropic's CEO has said it. Satya Nadella has said it. Sundar Pichai said it. Sam Altman said it. If all of these guys, what they say comes to be true, which is AI is going to be writing 90% of code, and I mean, we're already 12 months into AI supposed to be writing 90% of code. But if that is true, I will just go find other work. Like, I'll still write code on this channel, and I'll still solve problems with code. But if I can't find work doing that, I'll just go do a different job. You know? So I don't worry about it. Like, my primary directive as a husband and a father is to provide for my family and protect them. And so the job and the skill set I have now does it. And if that changes, I will just find a new skill set at a new job. Hello, it's Code. Good to see you. Ali, hello. Ali, machine is done. Human are smart. Some of them only, yeah. Well, I think it's both for machines and humans, right? Some human smart, some human dumb. Some machine smart, some human dumb. Or some machine dumb. All right, making good progress here. 2 modules down. I think we just have 2 to go. Okay, this is where I need to lock in, right? I need to lock in a little bit because I use C#, right? And I use TypeScript. And in TypeScript and C#, we don't really think of things as having pointers. In C# you can use pointers, but we typically think of things as being passed by reference or passed by value, and that's for the vast majority of the code you write. That's that. But Go has this pointer idea, so I mean, I understand the general idea of a pointer, but I need to just pay attention to the syntax. Okay, so Go has pointers. A pointer holds the memory address of a value. Actually, should we go get more coffee before we start into this module? Seems like a thing we should do. So far, stuff going okay. Well, good, Artwork Studios. I'm glad things are going well with the Linux distro that you've decided to slap together on a random Saturday. Reciprocal, so cool. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that's my opinion. I'm not saying it's a good opinion or the right opinion. It's just that's how I operate and think about the world, right? Like my primary directive is husband, father, provide and protect. That needs to be accomplished first and foremost. If I can do those things with a job and a skill set that I love and enjoy, wonderful. if I'm forced out of that situation and I have to go do a job and acquire a skill set that I'm not super interested in, but pays the bills, I will do that. And I've done that in the past. I mean, in other jobs I've had. This is really actually the first time I've worked in a career field or worked in a job where people were willing to pay me a decent amount of money and I really enjoy the work. And I feel like I'm decent at the work. Ollie, I use Mint, by the way. Nice. I use Windows 11, by the way. But I do use NeoVim, by the way. All right, before we start diving into pointers here, I'm gonna go get another shot of espresso, and then my hope is we can make it through a tour of Go this morning, and maybe start on this guy, the Learn Go with Tess, and then I feel like if we can complete both of these, we can start jumping into some old Advent of Code problems, which are basically old Advent of Code problems are basically like leak code problems, but they'll be more applicable to what we're going to see in December. So that's why I want to start with those. I feel like we'll do like a handful of these, maybe 4 or 5 of these. Oh, also, I need to add a note here. Practice breadth first search, practice depth first search. Those algorithms almost always come up during Advent of Code. So we need to make sure we do those. This is my learning plan that I wrote in 5 minutes this morning. All right, coffee and then pointers. I use Mac OS, by the way. I use Mac OS. What do you use? Goodness gracious, people. It really is. Linux people are really the CrossFitters of the programming world. Let's see. We want to do BRB. Oh, we want to disable readline too. BRB went to get coffee. And you guys, if you guys don't want to stick around while I don't expect anybody to stick around while I'm sitting, while you're staring at an empty chair. So if you have to go, thank you very much for hanging out. I will be right back. It'll take me like 5 minutes. I'm just gonna run upstairs, grab a shot of espresso, and come right back. So I'm gonna go on mute. And if you guys wouldn't mind when I come back, if you see me talking and you can't hear me, just type mute in the chat. But I've been remembering, but there has been a time where I streamed for 2 hours on mute, and I'm sort of scarred by that occurrence. Let's see. Me too. Okay, I'll be right back. I love the fact that Artwork Studios and I Love Lamp are actively developing a Linux distro while I'm trying to learn a programming language. The spectrum of abilities here is wild. All right, I'm back. We're here and I'm back. Let's see, what do I do? Control Shift W, something like that. There we go. Pointers. The type *T is a pointer to a T value. Its zero value is nil. Ugh. Fucking hate nil values. Pradeep, what are you building? Pradeep, I'm actually not building anything at the moment. I'm trying to learn Go because I'm going to do an event in December called Advent of Code, which you may or may not be familiar of. I've done it the last 2 years, and both of these years I used C#, which was fun. But for a change of pace this year, I'm going to use Go. So, although I've written less than 1,000 lines of Go before my entire life, so I'm spending part of the month of November, or at least a chunk of it, until I get my feet underneath me, learning Go. Ashutosh? Hi. Hello, Ashutosh. How are you doing? Good to see you. I like your emote. Let me emote back at you. Fire. I need to come up. I probably need to update the emotes, don't I? I can only have 4, I think. I can only have 4 emotes for my members, which I think is very limiting. I feel like Discord gives you 50. I think 50 custom emotes for a server. I feel like YouTube could do better. Pradeep, nice. Yeah, thanks, man. Well, I'm glad you're here. You obviously, I mean, I get it. If watching somebody learn how to code is not your thing, I get it. But yeah, my channel basically consists of whatever I'm learning or doing or building at any particular time. So it's a hodgepodge of building applications, learning new things, exploring different technology. So it kind of changes all the time. The operator generates a pointer. The AND operator generates a pointer to its operand. Okay, hold on. Let me think about this. So we have a variable I that has been initialized to a primitive int, right? This is probably an int. Then P, we've declared up above as being a pointer of type int, which this basically means we only accept an address to a value in memory that is of type int, is what this is basically saying, which is why we can do this down here. The star operator denotes the pointer's underlying value. Read I through something, through the... Oh, they've got a bug here. This should probably scroll, huh? Is this thing open source? Tour of Go repo. The actual web pages for a tour of Go are here. The repo still holds the supporting packages. Why does this say mirror? Let's see if does anybody log issues here? I don't know. They don't even accept issues, do they? Huh. Well, I was gonna go in there and try to log an issue and fix it for that comment overflowing, but it doesn't look like Oh, hold on, issues. I swear I've used GitHub before. Comment overflow. Overflow. Yeah, I don't see an existing issue on this. Here, let's use some AI. Yeah, you want to use some AI for this? Let's see, copilot.github.com. Oops. This image shows a, what does it show? It shows a comment in a code block on a website overflowing the boundaries of the code block. The content inside the code block should scroll. When this happens, can you write an issue for me that is concise and well described? I'm too lazy to write the issue myself, so I'm just gonna make Copilot do it. Why did it decide to look at it? Picked a random repo to put it in. It's weird. You fail, Copilot, but you did a good job drafting the issue. See, when a comment inside a code block exceeds the block's width, the content overflows. Blah, blah. Add a long comment or line. Steps to it's not really this. Make your viewport narrow enough so that the comment spills outside the container. They're gonna be like, who's this asshole? Commented line overflows bounding for container. Oh, they have a contributor guidelines. I don't think any of this is relevant. I'm gonna immediately get a comment back that's like, this is not the proper place to file this issue. Please go somewhere else. Yeah, smart. Yeah, smart. As you know, work smarter, not harder. Ashutosh, by the way, what is Advent of Code? It's new to me. So if you're familiar, for those who don't know, Advent of Code is, or hold on, Parang, is that Go language is hard? I don't think, so far I don't think Go is difficult. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it seems to be very familiar to other programming languages. I think if you know a programming language, learning another programming language is not so difficult. your first programming language is always a little bit of a lift. That's just the nature of the beast. But there's so many shared concepts in programming and computing in general that once you learn one programming language, there's a lot of things that are transferable. So I don't think it's particularly hard. Just depends on where you are in your journey. As far as advent of code, so for those of you who don't know, I probably should have like a little blurb about what advent of code is. So advent of code is a project started by a gentleman named Eric Wastel. I think that's how you say his name. Every year he basically sits down and writes a story that's sort of Christmassy themed, holiday themed. And then along with that story, he creates puzzles, right? And each puzzle is almost like a leak code like problem, right? So it's like you're solving a problem that pushes the story forward, but in order to solve the problem, you have to use code. You don't have to use code. I know people do it like in Excel and stuff, but most people use some code to do it, and typically it has to do with a little bit of data structure and algorithms knowledge to accomplish it. And it's just a fun, nerdy thing to do to kind of celebrate the holidays during the month of December. So every day you come in to the Advent of Code website, and they will post a new problem. So if we go back to like previous events like 2024, for example, day 1, you'll get a story like this, and you'll have to read through the story, figure out what it wants you to do, what are the requirements, and then you'll get a puzzle input. Somewhere they'll give you a puzzle input, which is just basically usually a text file is usually what it is. And then you have to solve it and provide your answer. And then if you get the first part right, there almost always will be a second part. So if you like puzzles, if you like doing leak code, if you like writing code, it's kind of right up your alley. And if you like that time of the year, you like the holiday season, kind of right up your alley. So I have a lot of fun doing it every year. So, but this year I wanted to try a different language. Oops, I activated my bro talk. Bro talk mode activated. So, bro, how's it going today, bro? Bro, do you code? Bro, do you use Arch? Bro. Shudo, we doing leak code and Go today? Not necessarily leak code and Go. We're just trying to learn Go at the moment. Artwork Studios. I took a few months to learn JavaScript. Yeah, I think people should take as much time as they want to learn whatever they want, right? Like, there's no right or wrong answer to how long it should take to learn something. I mean, in the context of a job, like obviously they can arbitrarily decide that, right? Anybody can just arbitrarily decide how long you should get to learn something. But in the real world, right, in a world where we're all free, non-economic slaves, you should be able to take as long as you want to learn something. Ashutosh, really interesting. Yeah, it's a ton of fun. Here's the I'll send the website in the what I'll probably do too for those of you who want to participate is I'll make a leaderboard for us. So here is the A of C website. So they have this idea of a leaderboard, and some people compete. Like they compete to be like the best in the world, right? So you'll have people who will solve these things within like the first 10 minutes of the puzzle being posted. It's crazy. But what we can do is we can start a private leaderboard and have everybody join the private leaderboard, and that way we can see each other's times and see each other's progress as we're going. We don't have to use it for like to be competitive with it, but we can use it just for ourselves, right? As for our community. So I'll do that at some point. Am I Catholic? I'm not Catholic. So some members of my family are Catholic. Like my mom's mom was a very devout Catholic. My dad's grandma was a devout Catholic. But no, my family has historically been Protestant Christian, Protestant Christian denomination. Like I grew up in a Methodist church. I think my brother attends a non-denominational church, I think, at the moment. But yeah, I would consider us to be just Christian generally, but we don't practice Catholicism. Ashutosh, actually, I'm quite new with development or coding. Any suggestions for a newbie like me from your experience? As a starter, I'm picking JavaScript as my first language. I love that. I love that for you. Yeah, JavaScript I think is a great first language. Um, I think my number one advice for beginners, and I think more people are sharing this advice online, or at least I'm seeing more people share this advice online, is don't get stuck in tutorial hell. That's probably my number one piece of advice. I think early on when you're learning, it's good to follow a structured curriculum. Tutorials are great for that because it kind of takes you step by step through a process. But as soon as you start to get your feet underneath you, start trying to build projects for yourself that don't quite have a clear instruction set, right? So if you need a structured curriculum, I'd highly recommend Free Code Camp. That's kind of my, I guess, what would it be? Curriculum of choice would be Free Code Camp for a lot of people if you're learning, especially if you're learning JavaScript. But there's lots of great free content on YouTube too. But I think as soon as you feel like I know how to write a for loop, I understand kind of the basics of how a program executes. You're like, yeah, I kind of have a handle on this thing. Then I would stop worrying about following tutorials as much as I would about solving problems. And I think that's why Free Code Camp's curriculum is pretty good, is because they have a nice blend of that, where they take you through things step by step, but then at the end they sort of give you a set of requirements, and it's up to you to go and implement them and satisfy those requirements, but you largely have to decide how to solve it yourself. So that would be my advice. I think that's you grow the fastest that way. Tutorial hell is just a dangerous place because it gives you the feeling that you're learning and that you're accomplishing things, but the minute you step away from the tutorial or you step outside of that context and you sit down to try to write some code, you have this really terrible realization where it's like, oh wait, I didn't absorb any of that information and I don't understand how to do anything I just watched somebody do for the last hour and a half, which is a really shitty feeling. I feel like that's a similar feeling AI can give you. If you're using AI a lot when you're coding, AI can leave you with that same tutorial hell feeling where it's like, I just spent 6 hours tabbing through a crap ton of code and I felt so productive and so awesome. But if Copilot was to be turned off, I just sit and stare with my fingers on my keyboard and I don't know what to type. Which is, again, it's just kind of a scary feeling to think, how did I just spend hours of my life doing something and absorb none of it? Yeah, that doesn't feel good. A struct is a collection of fields. So this is where Go's functional artwork shoes. I've been really stuck in tutorial hell though usually I am able to make new things by smashing different things into new ones. That's not a bad approach either. And it's an important skill. It's an important skill to be able to take existing things and climb over them and through them and pull them apart and understand it. That's an important skill. When AI can't work, then I'll use my programming knowledge to fix everything up. Yeah, well, as long as you have the programming knowledge to begin with, that's fine. I feel like for beginners, though, AI is sort of robbing them of some of that programming knowledge. Ashutosh. A few days, I stumbled on a site named MDM Docs. Oh, MDM Docs is great. I realize JS or web development in general is quite vast. It really is. Yeah, web development's very vast. But if you focus on the basics, you'll be fine. Like if you focus on, if it was me, I'd kind of narrow the basics down. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed. MDM's a great site. Like do MDM. Like if they've got good tutorials, you'll be fine following that as well. But like don't let yourself get overwhelmed. I think I would focus on these things: JavaScript, focus on HTML, focus on CSS, And then probably even on this list, maybe even in front of JavaScript, is be be familiar with HTTP, right? Because that's how we communicate, right, from computer to computer over this protocol. Actually, I mean, obviously, it's TCP IP, but over HTTP. But HTTP is what you want to understand. How do we make requests, right? And then also understand REST, and then maybe also understand JSON. I feel like if you kind of hone your learnings around these things, you'll have like well over 80% of like web dev life. And then how you want to express all this, like do you use JavaScript? Do you use a different server side language? Do you like all that stuff you can figure out. But if you get these basics down, I think you'll figure out web development just fine. It definitely can be overwhelming, but I think if you start here, um, you'll be pretty good. And I think that's why I would recommend, if you are feeling overwhelmed, go to freecodecamp.org. They will overwhelm you because they will guide you. They will give you the path, you know? Like they will help get you unoverwhelmed. They will help underwhelm you. Because that you don't want to feel overwhelmed. Overwhelmed is what's going to lead you to not keep going, right? And what you need to keep going. That's the only way you're going to learn. That's the only way you're going to get better. You got to keep going. Shudo, I agree with that sentiment a ton. I had to stop watching tutorials and just start building random scripts and programs to learn to use a language effectively and have some tangible skill with it. Exactly. And you guys are going to see me go through that this whole month because I'm brand new to Go. So I'm actively going to be going through this learning process, right? You're going to see me read these docs, and then I'm going to go create a Go package, and then I'm going to be like, okay, how do I write the for loop again? Right? So like this is how you learn. This is how you learn, and you have to get comfortable with it. You have to get comfortable. If you want to be good at learning things, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That feeling of reaching, of stretching, of I don't know how to do something and I'm stumbling over myself figuring out how to do it. That is learning. That uncomfortableness is where your growth lies, and so you have to get comfortable being there. It's not necessarily fun at first, but then as your competence increases, that becomes the reward and the feedback loop, and all of a sudden it starts becoming fun. Okay, that's Steven's learning soapbox for the day. All right, so we're talking about what are we talking about? We're talking about structs now. So this is where Go is different than all the languages I've historically written. So I've historically always written JavaScript or C# primarily as programming languages. I've done a little bit of Python too, or a lot of Python, but I avoid it now as much as I can. So Go is primarily a functional language. So they use this idea of structs, which are basically just representations of data, right? They don't typically have the object-oriented mindset of things. Here's a bag of data, work with it. Struct fields are accessed using a dot. Okay, it looks like they also typically name fields with Pascal case, I guess, because they're using capitals letters here. And this is how you create a new instance of a struct. So no new keyword, just you say what you want and then open close brackets. And I'm guessing this is positionally inferred, right? So if I was to swap these, if I was to put X over Y, we're just inferring based on the order in which the fields are declared. So this should be let's see, print format dot print line v dot y. So this should be 1 now. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Simple, straightforward, to the point. Shudo W self-brainwashing. Yes, self-brainwashing is the key. There's this guy, he founded this company. There's this company called Quest Nutrition. They make nutrition bars, nutrition potato chips, protein powders, lots of good things. Quest was founded by a couple guys, I think 3 total. One of them is a guy named Tom Bilyeu. Tom Bilyeu, he has a podcast, but I can't remember the name of the podcast now, but he used to have a podcast called Impact Theory. And one of the things I used to always hear Tom say is, Tom used to say on this podcast a lot, he used to say, I will only do, believe, and think those things which move me towards my goals. And I always have kept that with me because I think that's such a powerful idea that you have autonomy and you have agency over the things that you feel, do, and think, right? Why would you let things into your headspace, and why would you do things, or why would you think things that are not helpful to you or do not contribute to where you want to go? So while Shido, I know, is making a little bit of a joke about brainwashing, self-brainwashing, I think there's actually something really powerful there where you control your thoughts and you control the ideas you let in. I think Aristotle said something like, he said something about what we soak our minds in. What our thoughts are, what we soak our minds in. Our thoughts are what we soak. What we think is what we become. I can't remember. There's a quote that's similar to this, but I can't remember who said it or how they said it. But just basically this idea that you should think, you should not let negativity or bad thoughts into your head. You know what I mean? It's not helpful. It's not useful. Ashutosh, by the way, for how long you have been coding. So this is kind of a weird story. I have a video on my YouTube channel that goes into this in more depth. Like if you want to listen to a 20-minute story time of how I learned to code, I kind of talk through all of the nitty gritty. So I just want to share that link in case you're interested in how I learned to code. Also, I need to change my channel pictures now that Halloween's over. This might be helpful just to give context for me as a person and where I come from. At Ashutosh. But I've been so the first time I ever did any programming was in 2014 and 2015. I took Computer Programming 1 and Computer Programming 2 as electives in college. I was a biochemistry major, but I wanted to fill out my schedule with some electives, or needed to, and so I picked Programming 1 and Programming 2. After those classes, though, I really didn't touch code again until like 2018. And in 2018, I took a really small course from Duke University on Coursera that was about like JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. And then after that course, I didn't touch coding again until like spring of 2021. And then since the spring of 2021, I've basically written 5 to 8 hours of code every day for the last 5 years. So I would say I've been coding or programming for almost 5 years now, but I've have some familiarity with code that kind of predates that. So I always want to disclose that because I think it's important, that people be aware that there has been familiarity that predates, predates 5 years. Jappy, what is Advent of Code? So Advent of Code is this website that is run by a gentleman named Eric Wastel, I think is how you say his name. He basically comes up with a set of problems that are sort of holiday themed. They're almost like LeetCode-y like problems, but they're it's a little bit more fun because he wraps them in a story, and there's always a theme that's related to the holidays, Christmas time, and the holiday season here in the U.S. And it's just a fun activity to do if you're someone like me who's kind of nerdy. Um, Andril, thanks for subscribing. If you're kind of nerdy and you like sitting in your basement by yourself, working on your computer, typing text into files, and you get a lot of enjoyment, it's a fun activity. I've never watched podcasts before. Really? Yeah, podcasts are awesome, man. You should find some podcasts you like. Oh, I know Quest. They're pop. Yeah, Quest is definitely a good company. They make good products. Their products are a little expensive. They didn't used to be quite as expensive as they are today. But yeah, good company. Especially when it was owned by those three original founders. Like the story of the company is really cool. They actually started making Quest bars because Tom's sister was dealing with weight issues and health issues, and so he was trying to find a way to make food that could help his sister, help her sister with her health goals, with her weight challenges. But he knew that in order to help her, he needed to actually make a bar or a food that someone would actually want to eat, not because it was good for you, but because the bar was actually good, right? Which I thought, what a it seems novel, but what a novel way to go about solving a problem that people have been trying to solve for forever, which is how do we get people to eat better? And the traditional solution to that is we need to try to convince them that they should eat better because it's better for them. And probably what we should be doing is we should be trying to make food that they want to eat regardless of it's better for them or not, and the food just happens to be better for you. Problem with that is it often costs a lot more, that kind of food. Let's see. We're talking about Discord. Jaff, thanks. Of course, Jaff. And also, Jaff, thanks for being a member. We appreciate having you as a member. I need to do a better job of calling out people in chat who are members. All right, back to Tour of Go. Struct fields can be accessed through a struct pointer. Okay, now we're talking about pointers again. I have to hold on to these things because I'm just not used to thinking about things in terms of pointers. I'm used to thinking about things in terms of references versus values, which is kind of it's a similar idea, but slightly different. To access the field of X of a struct, when we have the struct pointer, we would write *p.x. However, that notation is cumbersome, so the language permits us instead to write just p.x without the explicit dereferencing. So this is much more akin to like in C# what you'd call like reference types, right? Where what you're passing around your application in C# is really a reference to that instance somewhere in memory. But you never have to really be concerned if you're holding a pointer or not. And that's what I guess Go has done for you, is they are sort of saying, hey, here's a vertex. Okay, P is now a pointer, right? Because and gives me the pointer to this thing in memory, but I don't need to dereference it here. It basically says, hey, no worries. You didn't dereference it. We'll take care of it for you. Which could be confusing or could be helpful. I guess it just depends on if you like explicit things or if you like implicit things, right? When languages do stuff like that. Do you want there to be some magic or do you not want there to be magic? Shudo, a reference is a constant pointer that's treated as the original value, i.e. implicitly dereferenced. I only use C, so not too familiar with references. Yeah, so in C#, you can deal with pointers in C#, but you don't typically deal with pointers. You typically just think, okay, am I using a primitive value type, right? Something that's allocated on the stack. If I am, then I can basically not be concerned with, I don't have to be concerned too much with like, I don't have to be concerned as much with mutability because I'm passing around this value that's always I'm always passing a value in and out of methods, and I'm always returning, right, a value in and out of methods. But in C#, when you deal with non-primitive types, these complex types, then by default they're always handled by a reference, which is it's essentially like having a pointer, because if you have a list of items and you pass that into a method and you mutate that list, you mutated it for the caller as well, right? But you don't ever explicitly usually deal too much with the actual pointer itself, the actual underlying, I guess, address of that memory. You just deal with the instance thing that you're passing around. So that's why I say, like, the pointer idea isn't, it's not like it's not terribly overwhelming to me, but it does introduce something I have to think about. Do I have a pointer and I need to get the underlying thing that pointer is pointing to, right? Like, do I need to explicitly dereference this right now? But I've never written any C either, Shudo. So that, yeah, trying to communicate what I know about C# and what I'm learning about Go and how that relates to a concept in C. I'm probably the worst individual on planet Earth to do that. I don't even know what pointers are, to be honest. So a pointer is kind of what they said. So if you go back to the yeah. So Go has pointers, and a pointer holds the memory address of a value, right? So instead of having the number, for example, in their example here, instead of having multiple 42s, right, stored in memory in different locations, a pointer is just saying, hey, I want a value of 42, and I'm going to put that in memory, over here. And then to other people, I'll give them a pointer, which they can resolve to that same value, right? So you could have multiple pointers that resolve to that value, but the pointer has the same address, right? It's always looking at the same place in memory, which is important to understand, right? Because then if you're not giving people the actual, like, two different copies, I guess, of that value in memory, and somebody starts monkeying with it, nobody's affected, right? They don't affect each other. But if you're passing around a pointer that references a shared value, well, now you kind of have issues if people start monkeying with that value, right? If it's a mutable thing, you could have, like, some piece of code, or somebody over here is doing something with that value. I mean, if you're reading it, that's one thing, but if you're actually, like, trying to set it or change it, and somebody's working with it someplace else, right? That's why it's important to be aware of it, or know what the thing is you're holding on to. Is it a pointer that you're holding on to, or is it an actual thing? Yeah. Yes, exactly, Shudo. Exactly what you said at the bottom. The last sentence you said, I think that's 100% correct. Yeah, it abstracts that concept for you, so you don't really think about it that much. But it is there. Like, you can use this similar syntax in C# to get access to or I guess not this syntax, but this syntax down here. Okay, where was I? I think I was on the struct. Yeah, struct. Pointer to structs. Okay, this is where we're talking about this is implicitly dereferenced, which is, I think, cool. A struct literal denotes a newly allocated struct value by listing the value of its fields. You can list just a subset of fields. Oh, so they do support named. Okay, so you can name fields in the, what do they call this? Do they call this a constructor? Does anybody know what Go would call this? Is this a constructor, or what is this? A new instance of a struct? I'm not sure what they would refer to it. You can list a subset. Okay, great. The special prefix and returns a pointer to the struct value. Okay, right? So this is where if I want to have a pointer to the struct, right? For example, if I want to be able to have multiple people access the same instance of this vertex, then I'm going to get a pointer to it, and I'm going to share the pointer with people. And then they can always dereference that pointer to the actual underlying instance. KK, good to know. In C#, could you typecast a reference and treat the address it's holding / referencing as a different pointer type? Let me think if I understand your question. Your question is well formed. It's more of a skill issue on my part. Can I understand this? So you can typecast references, right? So, but they have to either define an implicit or an explicit cast, unless the types are, unless the types are castable, meaning they like inherit from one, right? So you have like a base class, right? Or like even like an int, right? An int to a float or a decimal in C#. You can cast between the two. Obviously, you lose precision in this example of using numbers, but you can definitely cast between those types. Treat the address it's holding / referencing as a different pointer type. That I'm not sure about. That question I'm not sure about. The second part, because I don't think in C# I've ever actually explicitly like called for a pointer in C#. I'm pretty sure you can do it, but I don't think I've ever had need to do it myself. So I don't think I can answer the second part to your question. I was just going to look up the syntax for... Yeah, so this is you can do stuff like this in C#. Oh shoot, what did I just do? I like created a split view or something. I don't know what I did. There we go. So I did this, right? So you can do, but you have to wrap all this in unsafe in order to use all this. And you never normally actually do this in C#. All good, I can clarify too. Basically, there's an int on stack frame 1. I pass it to another frame via reference. Can I now in stack frame 2 dereference the address now as a different type? I believe the answer is yes, Shudo. I believe the answer is yes. But I believe the answer is yes, and I reserve all rights to be horribly incorrect due to lack of experience. Artwork Studios. Don't worry, Steven's still here. I have to say this because, yeah. Are you reassuring me? Ashutosh. I feel like programming is quite similar to mathematics. First, we need to get our fundamentals very clear. Then we have to face the coding problems head on or start a project of our own. I think you are 100% correct, Ashutosh. The fundamentals are super important. Super important. You want to spend a lot of time getting reps early on. And I think that's why tutorials are good and curriculum's good. Like getting reps, following what other people are saying is really important, and getting very clear. But then at some point, yeah, you gotta kind of break out of the sandbox, the safe world, right, and start exploring on your own a little bit to grow further. Okay, I see. Yeah, this would be a horrible idea in most cases. Just curious about the language's ability for this strange case. Yeah, I have no idea about any of the underlying implementation details because honestly, like you said, stack frame 1 and stack frame 2, I've never in C# heard people talk about stack frames or refer, or if they do, I've not been in the room or been on that YouTube video, you know? So, so I could be 100% wrong with that kind of stuff. Just saying so you don't think I'm like, this is boring, let's leave. No, well, Artwork Studios, even if you said that, I wouldn't hold it against you, man. That's totally fine. This is not the most exciting programming content in the world, right? So, if you're like, "Hey, Steven, I really enjoy your channel, but today I'm gonna go do something else," that would be totally okay. All right, now we're talking about arrays. Let's see, array is an array of in values of type T. Say that to somebody who's never written programming before. Type in of T is an array of in values of type T. And they'll just look at you like, what did you say? Okay, so this declares a variable a as an array of 10 integers. Nice. An array's length is part of its type, so arrays cannot be resized. So this is important to know. Arrays cannot be resized. This seems limiting, but don't worry, Go provides a convenient way of working with arrays. Well, that's good because I do find this limiting. I think if collections or arrays can't be resized, right? They can't be dynamically sized. A lot of times in programming, they're not super helpful, at least in the code that I've written. Like, how many times do you guys new up an array of known values? Like, most of the time when I'm working with collections of objects in a language, it's because I need to add to that collection. I need to remove from that collection. And typically the values in the collection they're not necessarily coming from my code, right? I'm reading them from a database. I'm receiving them from an HTTP call or something of that nature. But I'm guessing they have a way to fix this. Oh, slices. Here we go. So this is how they fix it. Okay. An array has a fixed size. A slice, on the other hand, is a dynamically sized, flexible view into the elements of an array. In practice, slices are much more common than arrays. Yeah, see, they have to be because, again, it's like I've been writing code now I know there's people here who have probably been writing code much longer than me, but I've been writing code for almost 5 years now every day, like I said, 4 or 5 hours a day, and very rarely do I find myself reaching for a statically sized collection of something. By the time you finish high school, you'll be so cracked. Dude, I love that. That's awesome, Shido. Send those vibes Artwork Studios way. He will definitely be he will definitely be so cracked. Ashutosh, hypothetically, if you had the powers to remove AI from our world, would you choose to do so? I mean, do you like a world with or without AI? Well, I guess that depends on how significant you think the current state of AI is. So at this point in time, I look at the AI that everybody talks about, generative AI, these models that we're producing, the byproducts of all this machine learning. I look at them as very helpful pieces of technology, but I don't think they're like fundamentally shifting the world, right? Like, you know, I in this conversation I always think about my parents, and I think, you know, until my parents start coming to me and talking about how AI is redefining the way they live their life or do their work, I just don't think it's having the impact people say it's having. Like, the long tail of adoption of these technologies is very, very long, right? This is a very long tail. So I think if you have that mindset, I don't think there's a reason to get rid of AI. Like, AI is helpful. It's a technology. It can be used for good. It can be used for bad. It's just like the internet. Now, if we're talking about AI in the sense of like artificial general intelligence, like an omnipotent being that knows everything and can solve everything, if that's what we're talking about, I don't know where I sit on that. I don't have a good mental model for thinking about that because theoretically, if we're talking about that type of AI, we're talking about AI that can like cure cancer, right? So I think there's a lot of positives there. There could be, there could be a big downside, but would I throw away all the upside because of the potential downside? I think if you made me answer today, I'd say no. But maybe if I thought a little bit more about it or was more articulate, that answer might change. I don't know. It's a tough one. But in its current state, I think generative AI is a really helpful, interesting tool. I don't see any reason why it needs to not exist. My two mottos. My two mottos. Make it simple again. I love that. Make it simple again. Simple is good. I hope we get AI to that point, but I just don't give it a means but just don't give it a means to interface with the world in any way beyond outputting text to a terminal. I think that well, and I think that's why having a group of people who are really thinking about safety is important for that reason, right? Because I think my current conjecture about AGI is that it's likely not something we're going to invent. It's likely something we're going to stumble over. Like I think we're going to be working on things and all of a sudden it's going to happen. It's not going to be like we sit down and it's like, okay, we know we have the ability to build AGI. Should we build AGI? I don't think it's going to be that type of an event. And so I think having people who are on the front side thinking about how do we make sure we sandbox the thing so that whenever we do trip over it, we, like to your point, we don't give it wide open access to all things. I would 100% agree with that. So yes, please sandbox the first AGI to a Docker container with constrained resources or whatever the equivalent of that is in the machine learning world. These young folks are miles ahead of where I was. Well, how old are you, Shudo? Because I'm 32, and I didn't start learning to code till I was 27. It's weird. My dad was the IT guy at our high school, so he was he was repairing Mac computers at a small little computer shop in like 97. And I remember going to work with him and, watching him work on the bench on hardware and stuff. And then he got a job at our school district working in the IT department. So I remember, growing up around tech and stuff, but I never really considered tech or programming or any of those activities as hobbies or careers or anything until very, very recently in life, which is so strange. But yeah, I have the same thought as Shudo does. I interact with people here in chat that are like 20, 17, 13, and they're already kind of like in the weeds of this stuff. I'm 21. So exactly. So like I interact with people like you, like Shudo, you sound like you're to me, you're young and you sound like you're already 20 years ahead of where I am. So it's amazing. You guys are very lucky, very fortunate. Have such a big head start. Yeah, they better sandbox Cybernet. Yes, they should definitely. In school for comp sci, still going for my bachelor's. Nice, Shudo. That's awesome, man. I hope it's going well. To me, college felt like it was never going to end, and then it finally did. It was one of those experiences. Let's see. An array has a fixed size. A slice, on the other hand, is dynamically sized, flexible view into the elements of an array. In practice, slices are much more common than arrays. The type array T is a slice with elements of type T. A slice is formed by specifying two indices, a low and a high bound separated by a colon. What do I... So if I have to specify a low and a high, is it actually dynamic? This selects a half-open range, which includes the first element, but excludes the last one. Okay, so it's inclusive on one end, exclusive on the other. The following expression creates a slice, which includes elements 1 through 3 of A. Still, I mean, this is helpful when you're trying to work with collections, right? When you're trying to do things with collections in memory, but still, I'm having to specify sizes here. Is that always required? How do we get around this? Slices are like references to arrays. A slice does not store any data. It just describes a section of an underlying array. Changing the elements of a slice... Oh, this is important. Changing the elements of a slice modifies the corresponding elements of its arrays. So if you create a slice and then you swap the 0 position to Steven, you are going to change this names, right? So that's important. That's an important thing to think about. Okay, that's good to know. A slice literal is like an array literal without the length. This is an array literal, and this creates the same array as above, then builds a slice that references it. Interesting. Jordan V. Hello, Jordan V. Thanks for subbing, man. I appreciate it. Very kind. So we have a slot. Okay. So this syntax basically, we stick something in memory and then we create a reference to it all at the same time. When slicing, you may omit... Okay, this is good. Okay, this is what I wanted to know. When slicing, you may omit the high or the low bounds to use their default instead. The default is 0 for the low bound and the length of the slice for the high bound. Still, it's still fixed. So what do we do if we actually want a collection? A slice is both the length and a capacity. The length of a slice is the number of elements it contains. The capacity of a slice is the number of elements in the underlying array. Yeah, that's fine. You can extend a slice's length by re-slicing it, provided it has sufficient capacity. So still, we're limited by capacity. Yep, so this is length of 0, capacity of 6, because the underlying slice, or the underlying array of this slice has 6. The nil slice. The 0 value of a slice is nil. I hate nil. I hate nil. I hate null. Fuck the guy who came up with that idea. I actually think the guy that came up with the idea of that actually calls it a $1 billion mistake, doesn't he? $1 billion mistake. Null. What's his name? I forget his name. Tony Hoare. Is that how you say that? Hoare? He's British. It was always the British. It's always the British. I'm just kidding. If you're British, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh, he's 91 years old. Man, I hope I live to be 90 years old. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, though, there's somewhere where he talks about this mistake being just like he should have never... I call it my $1 billion mistake. It was the invention of the null reference in 1965. My goal was to ensure that all use of references should be absolutely safe, with checking performed automatically by the compiler. But I couldn't resist the temptation to put in a null reference, simply because it was... Oh my goodness. Dude, I'm gonna save this somewhere, because That's small. You guys can't read that, but right here, let me make this a little bigger. He basically says he introduced this horrible thing for no good reason other than it was easy to implement it. That makes you stop and think the next time you're building something, you're like, yeah, but what if we need it, you know? Just in case. And it's super easy. It's funny too because he says his goal was the opposite. He says, my goal was to ensure that all use of references should be absolutely safe, with checking performed automatically by the compiler. So this would mean if this if this is how all compilers implemented their if all compilers implemented this, we would never have to do a null check or a nil check. We could just assume that a reference type is always not null. Damn it, Tony. What differs from nil from null, and why did he hate null so much? I don't think there's a difference. I think nil and null are the same thing. I think Go just calls it nil, and a lot of other languages call it null. But yeah, he's the one that he's the Mohammed. Thanks for the subscription. We can all blame Tony for any null reference check exception you've ever gotten. You can blame Tony. I feel I'm being called out. Oh, it's so funny. Okay, well, great. We know that if we have a non-initialized, I guess, or a declared but uninitialized variable, we have a nil array, a nil slice. Excuse me. Oh, that was a big yawn. Okay, finally, we're getting to a place where we can have a dynamically sized array. So slices can be created with the built-in make function. This is how you create dynamically sized arrays. The make function allocates a zeroed array and returns a slice that refers to that array. To specify a capacity, pass a third argument to make. So make a slice of int, and then is 5 the length? So 5's the length. Cool. And in this case, we have a length of 0, but we have a capacity of 5. So it can potentially hold up to 5 items. Wonderful. Now, how do I... Slices can contain any types, including other slices. Nice. So this is how you would represent like two. So this will be important when we do Advent of Code things. Advent of Code a lot of times will give you a board. It will give you a grid text file that's essentially a grid of symbols. And so we'll have to do this. We will have to have a slice that is a slice of slices. So this is important to know how to do and be aware of for our purposes, or for my purposes. But this is what I want to know. I want to know, how do I resize and add things and remove things and not have to worry about an explicit size. It is common to append new elements to a slice, and so Go provides a built-in append function. The first parameter of S of append is a slice of type T, and the rest are T values to append to the slice. So append is how you done. So does append return a new slice though? The first parameter of S, no, the resulting value of append is a slice containing all the elements of the original slice plus the provided values. If the backing array of S is too small to fit all the given values, a bigger array will be allocated. The returned slice will point to the newly allocated array. I don't know if I like that, because basically is this sentence saying that sometimes append returns a slice that points to a different array and in other times it doesn't. That's basically what it's saying. Let's ask Gemini. I'm learning about Go. I understand that you use the append function to add things to an existing slice. However, it seems like the resulting slice from the append function can sometimes point to the underlying array of the originating slice, but other times it can point to an entirely new array. Does this mean that the originating slice and the newly created slice can at times point to different arrays? I mean, obviously, we're talking to a lying robot, so we have to validate this probably outside of just asking Gemini, but I feel like that's what it's saying. Scenario 1, the new elements fit. Scenario 2, the elements do not fit. Yeah, so Gemini is saying, yes, this is true, but obviously this is precisely why the standard way to use append is to always assign the result back to the original slice. Interesting. That's definitely something to think about. That seems like something I will probably trip over that at some point. The range form of the for loop iterates over a slice or a map. When ranging over a slice, two values are returned for each iteration. The first is the index, and the second is a copy of the index. The first is the... what? Hold on. Two values are returned for each iteration. The first is the index, and the second is a copy of the element at the index. Which is important, right? Because if it's a copy, that's important. You can skip the index or value by assigning to the oh, they have a discard character. I like languages that support a discard like that. If you only want the index, you can omit the second variable. Nice. I love this syntax though. I wish so C# doesn't have quite this syntax. C# has, you can basically do, in C# you can do something like enumerable dot range like this. And you can loop over a range of numbers, but it's not the same as this, right? Where you can give it a map, or you can give it a... I wish C# had something like the range keyword, because I like this in Python too. Python has a similar... It's not a keyword though. I think in Python it's an actual method. Python range. Yeah, it's a function, not a method, a function. Shoot, all good. I'm pulling a Steven and grabbing some coffee, so I'll let it slide for now. Yeah, get your coffee, man. Yeah. Get your coffee. Get caffeinated with us. Get caffeinated and write some code with us. All right, now we got an exercise. Okay, implement pick. It should return a slice of length dy, each element of which is a slice of dx. When you run the program, it will display your picture interpreting the integers as grayscale. Well, blue scale values. The choice of image is up to you. Interesting functions include x plus y divided by 2, or x times y, or x raised to y. You need to use a loop to allocate each slice of uint inside of the slice of type uint. Use uint8 int value to convert between types. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll just start with declaring var, what do we want to call this? Picture. And then I need to basically say it's of this type. Or no, I can use make, can't I? Yeah, how do I use, I need to, go make function example. I just read that, but I can't remember how you call it. So I can say make the type, and then the length. So I could say var picture make this uint of 8 0. Declare to not use missing return. Oh, we can return it. So then we'll just come down here and we'll return picture. And it throws an error because it's out of range. Yeah, because it's just an empty one. So we need to then range over this, right? It should return a slice of length dy, and each element of which is a slice of dx. So this would be 4 this is like a nested loop, right? So it's like 4 I equals 0 and I is less than dx. I plus plus. And then we need to also loop over or no, I guess we don't have to loop over, do we? Am I making that too complicated? Oh, I guess I can also do this, can't I? I can actually make this dx because I know that's the length I want. And then I can say I think I just need the index, right? Index range of picture. And then I can say I picture I equals make uint 8. Oh, and this should be dy, shouldn't it? dy. Each element which is a slice of dx. Then I can do dx and then like that. And what happens now if I run this? Unexpected keyword range. What's my syntax error here? I wish there was a way I could go back to the other modules without giving up what I have here. Undefined. Oh. It would help if I could spell. Nice. Okay, cool. So I've got a blue picture. You guys probably can't see this, but I have a blue picture down here now. Because it's just empty values. Okay, cool. So that's how you range over slices. And then that's how you, obviously, I'm indexing it. I'm indexing into that original slice. And I'm mutating that by assigning it a new slice with a bunch of zeros. Fun, fun. Look at us. We're doing Go things. Do y'all chew on popsicle sticks after you're done with your ice cream? That's so random. Hey, what's up, Ducky Dev? Sorry, Ducky. I realized you sent that message like 8 minutes ago now. I apologize. I didn't see it. Good to see you, man. Hope you're still here. Oh, dang. Where are you from? The stores don't have the popsicle. Oh, yeah. Okay, you guys are talking about popsicle sticks now. Oh, okay. I think I don't think anybody's up in my house yet, so I think I'm gonna keep going. Normally I would stop at 7 o'clock, but I'm gonna see if we can't get through a tour of Go this morning. Unless if I start to hear a bunch of people get up above me, because my parents are in town right now. My mom, my stepdad are here, so I don't want to ignore them because I wanted to stream. So I'll stream as long as I can before I start hearing a lot of activity upstairs, and then I'm gonna hop off and go hang out with the family. Maps. A map. A map maps keys to values. No, really? The zero value of a map is nil. A nil map. Oh gosh, there it is. So maps have a nil by default. Let's see. A nil map has no keys, nor can keys be added. Okay. The make function returns a map of the given type initialized and ready to use. So this right here is nil at the moment. Then when we come down here into the function, the main function, we call make to create an actual, right? An actual initialized map, and then we assign it. So could we get rid of this? Or hold on, let me run this real quick. So could we get rid of this? And could we shorthand this? Will that work? Nice. Okay, cool. Yep. Nice. Map literals are like struct literals, but the keys are required. So basically, instead of in the previous example, see how we're newing up a new map using make here. And then on the other example, we're newing up a new map, but we're using that struct syntax with the open and close curlies. But when we do this, we have to explicitly set keys. So if I did something like this wouldn't work, I don't think. Oh, no, it does work. There's just nothing in there. So I can just new up a map. That's interesting. It says the keys, map literals are like struct literals, but the keys are required. Oh, because there's already, so what happens if this was just like that? Or what if I just did map of string to string? Well, I don't understand this then. But the keys are required. I don't know what it means by that. Because they don't seem to be required. Like, could I come down here and could I say, hello, world? guess I can do that. Reset. Run. Okay. Yeah, I guess I can do that. Fair enough. Map literal. If the top level type is just a type name, you can omit it from the elements of the map of the literal, or from the elements of the literal. If the top level type is just a type name, oh, I see what they're saying. They're saying you don't have to, if you've already declared vertex here, you don't need to declare vertex again down here, is what they're saying. So just, you can make it a little bit more succinct. That's what they're saying. Are you popsicle sticks even? I do not chew on popsicle sticks, but I don't really eat ice cream that has popsicle sticks in it. I'm actually, if I was to like, if you were to say, hey, let's get something sweet to eat, I would much rather have like a cookie or some sort of baked good than I would want to have ice cream. The rest of my family is completely different. Like my wife, my two kids, they love ice cream. I mean, they love baked goods too, but like one of their favorite things to do is to have me run and get them ice cream as for dessert. And I usually don't get anything because I would much rather have some sort of like baked sweet, which is kind of like my kryptonite. Like I don't like to keep a lot of baked goods in the house because I'll just eat them all in one sitting, as evidenced by my frame. Okay, mutating maps. Insert or update a map, an element in a map. You can do key elements. You can read from it with keys. Interesting. So to delete, you use the delete function. It's interesting that Go has like these ambient like global functions that you just like reach up and grab them and they're just there in your code. It's kind of strange. They're not attached to anything. It's just like, yeah, delete. You're here. Test that a key is present with a two-value assignment. Oh, I kind of like that. That's nice. Because normally what you'd have to do in other languages, right, if you were in TypeScript, TypeScript playground, right? And I've written a lot of code like this before. You'd normally have to do something like var object. No one uses var anymore. Const object equals this, right? And then obviously you do something like console.log obj.prop. But obviously prop here is going to be does not exist. But if I did something like I guess I could type this, right? So example, and then I could say type example, which this is not really a great type. Why would you do this? I don't know. This is a string or it was undefined. Oh, actually, hold on. We can fix this. We can fix this with the good old any. Yeah, there we go. We'll do that. But, you know, if you're in JavaScript, this is what you typically have to deal with, right? And you have to deal with this sometimes in TypeScript. But here, you don't know that this is the case, right? Can I run this? Yeah, run. Yeah, we'd log undefined. So a lot of times you would wrap this, right? You'd say something like if object.prop, and then you do something like this. Or maybe you do something, you maybe don't even use the prop, you just switch on it. So I kind of like the fact that they have the ability to read it and check all in the same assignment. It's kind of nice. Excuse me, big yawn again. If element or OK have not yet been declared, you could use a short declaration. Very cool, very cool. All right, now we get to use maps. Implement word count. It should return a map of the counts of each word in the string S. The wc.test function runs a test suite against the provided function and prints success or failure. Well, somebody's up because I think somebody's in my backyard. Oh my gosh, why is... Oh yeah, looks like my... Okay, I'll probably, let's say I'm going to stream till like top of the half hour, so 7:30 a.m. So whatever time that is for you time zone wise, maybe 7:30 or 8 I'll stream till. Nanax? GG maybe is how you say that username. Do you think learning new languages from data structure / leak code like example or project type to be better? I think you need a combination of it, honestly. I mean, that's why like I have on this is my kind of plan for Go at the moment. I think you want a mixture. I think at the beginning, when you're at the beginning of something, you know, you want to spend your time here, right? In the basics. So you probably want to understand like how does the language represent data structures? How does it work with those data structures? All very dry stuff, right? It's very like boilerplatey, reading documentation, looking at examples, simple exercises. But I do think you need time in this area. But then I think at some point you do need to get out and start building projects. And so that's why I think a little bit of time in the basics, maybe a little bit of time solving problems that use your knowledge of manipulating data structures and writing algorithms, right? So maybe a little time here, but I think a lot of real world learning, stuff that you would actually use in a job or you'd actually use to build something useful for another human being, I think a lot of that learning is going to come from projects. So if it was me, I would skew towards project-based learning. The other benefit of project-based learning is you end up getting leak code style practice inside of your projects, right? Because you end up in a project is made up of solving many small problems that add up to solving a big problem. So you sort of, one gives you the other, but the other doesn't give you the one, so to speak. I certainly don't have his experience, but I enjoy both to learn regular projects for languages, fundamentals, then leak code for learning how to use a move. Yeah, I think I agree with Shudo. Yeah, 100%. Artwork Studios. I don't OOP much except in Unity. Yeah, a lot of people, I don't mind object-oriented code, but a lot of people these days, it's fun to shit on it. Artwork Studios, 30 minutes left. Yeah, thereabouts. I see people getting up and around upstairs, so I'll probably go up there. I'd like to get to the end of Tour of Go, but I don't know how much longer I have. It looks like I have, yeah, I probably won't get to the end of this today. I have methods and interfaces, generics, and concurrency to get through. So maybe we'll get through this tomorrow. I don't know. Do you guys care if I do any of this? I mean, I don't know. You guys probably don't care if I do it off stream, but I think I'm going to try to just stick with following it on stream. All right, we need to implement word count here. So what do we... Is this right? Why does this look funny? Oh, that's why it works funny. Try to make this a little bit more readable. There we go. Okay, our job is to implement word count. It should return a map of the counts of each word in the string. So the question is, how do we get the words in the string? Yeah? So I'm guessing there's some way we can split this string? I mean, I guess we could range over the... We could probably range over the string, right? They do say... They do have a little thing in here that says string.fields might be helpful. Ashutosh, do you usually wake up this early or just nowadays for your learning purposes? I hadn't been waking... Ashutosh, I hadn't been waking up this early for a long time. It's been many years since I was a regular wake up at 4 a.m. type of person. But I started because basically I wanted to stream, and I was streaming during the day, right? So I was basically streaming for like an hour in the morning and then an hour at lunch, over my lunch break at work. However, that really wasn't ideal for like programming, because just as you get going in an hour, I had to stop, right? So like most of the time, you start the stream, you kind of get oriented, you start talking to people, you may write a little bit of code, and then all of a sudden an hour's gone by, right? So I wanted to be able to have longer extended streams, and the way my schedule's set up, there's really not any other time where I can have multiple hours of uninterrupted time except early in the morning before everybody else wakes up. So that's why I started getting up at 4 o'clock, and then I try to wake up at 4 o'clock, feet hit the floor, brush my teeth, comb my hair, get a cup of coffee, come down here, fire up the stream. Stream till about 7 o'clock, 8-ish on weekends, then go upstairs for the day. And that's been working. I've been doing that for 2 weeks, 3 weeks now, and it's been working pretty well. So I'm probably going to stick with it. And it's also been fun to have dedicated uninterrupted time to explore different things than I would normally explore, like in the evenings working on my side projects and stuff. So far so good. He wakes up so early for us. There you go. That's what Shudo said. It's all for chat. It's all for them members scrolling across the screen. Yeah, no, I mean, I enjoy the streaming, and I enjoy talking with you all, but it also is selfish. I want to have time to learn and explore stuff and build things, and the streaming is a good excuse to do it, and it's also a nice way to hold myself accountable to do it, even though I would probably be doing it regardless. It just wouldn't be at 4 o'clock in the morning. Ashutosh, by the way, I have noticed you are built quite strong. Do you hit some gym as well? I do hit some gym. I actually have a home gym. So I was a personal trainer for 7 years, 8 years, and I had a small gym for a couple, 2, 3 years. I had my own gym where I did personal training. So yeah, I'm all about... If I wasn't working, so if I didn't have kids, I would probably be trying to be a strength coach, either at the collegiate or the professional level. That would be the career field I would probably pursue if I didn't have a family. I know people could pursue that career with families. The problem with that career field is it's very competitive, and you almost always lose your job whenever the American football coach loses their job at whatever university or whatever team you're working for, because they want to bring in their guy. And then the other thing with that job is you don't really make much money at it until you get like the top spot, right? So like as you're working your way up in that field, the pay is really terrible. I'll have to share a picture of my latest home gym setup. I'll share that in Discord at some point when I remember. Artwork Studios. Yeah, don't let that affect health, Steven. Well, that's so kind that you're thinking about me. I still try to get my 6-7 hours of sleep. Like last night I fell asleep at like 9:45 in the evening, and then I woke up at 4. 6 hours, 6-7 hours. So okay, so what does string.fields do? Let's see what they're trying to tell us. Okay, this says fields splits the string S around each instance of one or more consecutive white space characters. Hint, hint. And it looks like it returns an array of strings. That's what it returns. Oh shoot, did that take me out of the... Try to make this a little bigger. All right, so let's do var. No, not var. We don't need var. We need words. Shorthand assignment operator equals. Is it s dot fields? Like that? Do I call it? Or do I pass it? Do I have to bring in the package? Okay, I need to read. I need to read the documentation, obviously. Do they have an example of using it? Let's see, example. Strings. Oh, okay, so they bring in the package and then they call strings.fields. I was close. Strings.fields, and then I have to pass in S. See if that runs. Declared and not used. Okay, it ran. I mean, it didn't air out the same way, so that works. Okay, so now I have my words, right? And so what I need to do is I basically need to say for word range of words, right? And then we're gonna loop, and let me just print the words real quick. Print line word, and I think I need to bring in that package. Excuse me. Look at the message they're testing with. It says I'm learning Go. You guys can't really see this because this is such a crappy editor layout, but it says I am learning Go. Is what it says. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we basically just need to keep track of. We basically need a map where we're gonna put a new word key in with an initial value, and then on each iteration we're gonna check and see if our map has that word already. If it does, then we're gonna increment its value by 1. If it doesn't, then we're gonna add it, right? So we'll say map. That's a keyword. So we'll say words count map. Also, does anybody know what's the That's awesome, man. I'm trying to hit the gym more and more these days. I've been enjoying it. Yeah, the gym is my. So you know how people talk about everyone has 3 places in their life, right? They've got home and they've got work, or they've got home and they've got school, and then everyone has the 3rd place. They've got home, work, school, the gym, the home, work, school, the bar. Roz Pool, thanks for Roz Pool, thanks for subscribing. And for me, the gym is my 3rd place. Like that's where I feel most at home, most comfortable. I spent so much of my I spent basically all my 20s and a large majority of kind of 18 to 20 I spent in gyms, working in gyms, studying in gyms, closing gyms down. Like at one point, early on in my personal training career when I was in college, I would basically wake up at like 6:30. My first client would be at the gym at like 7. I would train from 7 to 9, drive to campus, go to class from like 9 to 11, drive back to the gym, from like 11 to 1, like over lunchtime, I would have a couple clients, then go back, do classes in the afternoon for a bit, then come back to the gym at like 4, train people from like 4 to 8, and then I would close the gym from like 8 to midnight. I mean, I lived at the gym. I did all my homework at the gym, trained like it's kind of it's become my safe my safe place. um, and now I have a gym at home, so it's like I get the best of both worlds. I can go lift anytime I want. I just walk out the garage door and I'm in the best place in the world. What's the okay, what I was going to ask, does anybody here write Go, and does anybody know what's the proper style for variable names? Is it camel case like this? Is it snake case? Is there a community preferred way? Go variable naming. General principles. The primary convention for multi-word variable names. If a variable is not exported, it starts with a lowercase letter. If it's exported, it starts with a capital one. So camel case. Wonderful. I'm okay with that. Thank you, Gemini, for your helpful answer. Tour of Go. Recently, Amazon did massive layoffs of their employees as they are shift more towards AI. Does such type of news bother you, at least with job security? No, not really. I think I mentioned this earlier. Somebody else had asked this about how I feel about kind of the AIification of the world. And the thing is, I think I kind of have a unique perspective because I didn't, like I said, I didn't grow up thinking I was going to work in tech. Like, I went to school for biochemistry. I worked as a food scientist for 6 of the first 10 years of my corporate life. Like, I never thought I would work in tech. And even when I got into tech, I didn't do technical things really. I worked on a support team. I did a lot of client facing things. I was a personal trainer for a long time. Like, I've had other careers outside of tech. So when I see, first of all, having worked with LLMs both as a user and as a developer, LLMs are not LLMs are not good enough to justify laying off $30,000 people. I don't care what Amazon says. Amazon just has hired too many people, and they're going through a corporate reset like companies do. Every so many cycles, companies grow and they hire a lot of people, and then every so often they need to kind of reset and reevaluate and scale back their footprint, especially when you look at the valuation of companies currently in the United States. Um, so I think it's less about AI and it has more with them just about better financially positioning themselves for current and future economics. So first of all, I just don't believe that narrative. Second of all, if that even was true, like if AI was actually eliminating people's jobs or taking people's jobs, my response is, well, I'll just go learn something new and get a different job. Like, I'm a husband and a dad, and my number one job is to provide and protect for my family. And so if I can't do that any longer with code, I'll find a different job. I'll do it with something else. I'm not terribly. I know a lot of developers are kind of worried about it, or engineers, or if you work in tech in general. But I'm not. I'll learn a new skill, get a different job. Could be in a different industry. I only gym when I went to Jim McDonald's. I write Go, but I usually write camel case. Yeah, it seems like camel case is the convention in Go. A mix between camel case and Hungarian. What is Hungarian? I've never heard that term before. Hungarian notation. But I hope that answers your question, Ashutosh. I just don't. At the end of the day, I'm a learner, and I'm gonna learn the skills I need to provide for me and my family. If that overlaps with my interests, great. If it doesn't, so be it, right? I'll still be writing code, right? Long after AI takes over all of mankind, and if I'm still on planet Earth, I'll still be in my basement writing code because it's fun and I enjoy it. An identifier naming convention in computer programming is which the name of a variable or function indicates its intention or kind, or in some dialects. 100% I do this. I didn't even know I was doing this. I definitely do this. I don't do it as much with primitives, but I definitely do it with complex types, Shudo. Like I'll say, I actually have an example of this in Casper. In the project that I've been working on, I haven't. It's essentially when a common prefix or a common word is abbreviated. At least I think that's what it is. Well, based on what Wikipedia said, it seems like it's more or it's what you said plus and it'll be a marker, yeah, for the type of the variable. I actually did this a bunch over here, right? So if I go to, let's see, if I go to, I think in my tests I did it. I'm guessing I picked this up just by reading other people's code. The fact that I've never heard of this, I just did it because other people did it. Is it integration? I think is where I was doing this. Yeah. So like I have an example where I was doing this the other day. Damn it, I haven't pushed up those those changes. I thought I had a good example. Well, yeah, here we go. Look, like I literally did it here. This is exactly it, right? This variable represents a type, a value, or an instance of a writer brief type. So I just called the variable writer brief. Yeah. So totally, I'm in the Hungarian naming convention camp. Big fan. Big fan of Hungarian notation. I think most people use it with camel case by default. Some words and types of prefixes just make more sense and look better abbreviated. Yeah, 100%. A noob. What's the project idea? You mean what's the project idea for Go, for learning Go? Is that what you're asking? Because the main reason we're learning Go is so we can do admin of code. That's the that's the main reason to learn Go at the moment. Here we go. So what we're gonna do here? We're gonna say current count and is present is going to be equal to words count map word, like that. And then up here we actually need to finish initializing this. Make map string int. I wonder what people do the most. Like I can do a make call like this, but I think I can also just do this, can't I? Like will this work? I think this will work. And then down here I think I can say if is present. I don't need parentheses. If is present, then we will do words count map word, and we will set that equal to current count plus 1. Is there some way in Go that you can like I don't really like if-else statements. I don't know about you guys. I don't really like this syntax. So I would much prefer to like just immediately continue the iteration. And then if we don't hit the if, we'll just have some sort of default logic that we always do. So is there some way in Go that you can continue within a loop? Within a loop? A noob. Are you planning to build something with Go? I think we will. Yeah, I think we will at some point. I think first I'm going to do the basics. So I should be, after like, I would say 2 days, 2 or 3 days, I should be through this stuff. Well, I don't know how long this is. I don't know how long the learn Go with tests is. But I would imagine in 2 or 3 days we'll be through this initial section of kind of language basics. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on old advent of code problems because I think that will best position me to accomplish my ultimate goal, which is to have fun doing this year's advent of code. But yeah, then at some point we're going to do some projects. So one project I have is update my personal website. So I thought about like using Go to build like a static portfolio site. I think that would be good because I think that would teach me a few different things. It would teach me the basics of a web framework in Go. I'd learn how to Dockerize a Go web application, which I'd like to learn how do you Dockerize this. What else would it probably teach me? Probably teach me the basics of doing like server rendered apps, websites in Go, like what's the template language that's used, those sorts of things. What other have I had? I haven't really had any. I think that's the only idea I've had recently. But I'm sure we can come up with some stuff, you know. But this is the plan at the moment. Subject to change. A day. Thanks for subscribing. I appreciate it, man. Or girl. I shouldn't. I have a really bad habit of defaulting to masculine pronouns, so I apologize if I ever say guy and you're a girl, or if I say girl and you're a guy. I apologize. Sometimes it's hard to tell by usernames or display names alone. So please don't cancel me, and please don't be offended. Continue. Oh, it's that easy. It's just continue. Okay. And then if this isn't the case, for some reason the TV behind my desk turned on and it scared me because I started hearing voices all of a sudden. All right, we're gonna finish with this exercise today. I'm gonna solve this exercise, and then I hear people waking up upstairs, so I'm gonna solve this exercise, and then I'll probably we can do our normal wrap up conversation, and then we'll reset. So if we already have the word, no, if we don't have the word, then what we need to do is we need to say words count map is word, and that is equal to 1, like that, right? Then we can return our words count map. All right, let's see what happens here. Format imported and not used. Dude, that error is gonna get me so bad every day. Pass. Yep, all our test cases pass. Look at us. Look at me. I'm a Go developer now. Ashutosh, could you provide the link for the... Oh, for sure, yeah. People have asked me a lot about this music. So I use a tool, website called Lo-Fi Generator. Lo-Fi Generator. So this is... hold on, let me... Yeah, this guy. Let me link this. Also, at Ashutosh. So the nice thing about lo-fi, I use it is because it's algorithmically generated lo-fi music, which means I don't run the risk of being copyrighted or anything like that. But the guy that made it, his name is Dylan Turner. I don't know him. I've never met him. I've reached out to him a bunch. We sent him a coffee the other day. He built this though, so if you want to go show some love to him, if you enjoy using lo-fi generator as much as I do, I use it like 5 hours a day almost. It seems like you should go show him some love if you can afford to buy him some coffee, or I think he has some social channels. Maybe just drop him an email and let him know, hey, like I really enjoy this thing you built. I think we all would love to hear that about the projects we build and put out on the internet. We'd love to hear that people get a lot of value out of them. So, Lo-Fi Generator by Dylan Turner. He's the man. Crack dev stuff right there. I'm so cracked out of my mind. Look at this. Look at this for loop. The only thing that does kind of bother me right now about this implementation, and it's kind of stupid, but like I don't like the fact that I have to continually re-index into the map like this. But I sort of have to because it's an int, I think. So I'm always getting a copy. Like current count, I would always have a copy of whatever's in there. But yeah, we passed it. So how much further? Okay, so we just did maps. So we have maps. We have function values, function closers, Fibonacci's. Then we do methods and interfaces, generic. Man, we have. I'm guessing we're going to be doing more of this tomorrow. I'm guessing we're going to be doing this more of Tour of Go tomorrow, and then we'll probably start Learn Go with tests tomorrow too as well. So it's gonna be a little bit of a slow ramp up here. So I understand if you guys are like, I'm not really fucking with your stream the first couple of days of this, Steven. I totally get that. It's not a big deal. But eventually we'll transition from kind of learning and reading docs and doing small snippets of code. We'll eventually transition to solving some actual problems, and then we'll build some actual projects. And then when December starts, then we'll be headlong into Advent of Code 2025. Do you think this persists my spot? Do you think I should leave this up? I'm just going to leave this up. I don't actually know if it does it, but I'm going to leave this web page up till tomorrow. All right, how many of you are still here at the end of the stream? Let's see. 48 of you? Nice, let's go. L, Steven, for I don't mean to misgender people. If I've misgendered you ever, I apologize. Sounds good, Steven. I'm a bit inspired to begin learning Go after I finish my current project. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I still like Go at the end of all this. I might get to the end of the year and be like, I might get to December 25th and be like, thank God I never have to write another line of Go again. You never know when you start something like this. You don't know if you're gonna like it or hate it. I mean, I wrote Python for like a good 9 months, and at the end of those 9 months I was like, I'm gonna avoid Python for the rest of my life. which I haven't been successful at, because I just used Python this week to do I was doing some like performance benchmarking on some code, and I was using benchmark.net, which was great. Benchmark.net is wonderful, but I was taking the data and using like a Python notebook to make graphs, because it's so much easier to do that kind of stuff, especially statistical things like normal distribution curves. MD3, thanks for subbing. It's so much easier to do that stuff in Python than using Excel. So sometimes you can't avoid things you don't like. Or it's not that I don't like it. I always hate that I say this about Python. It's not that I don't like it. It's just it doesn't connect with me the same way C# and TypeScript have. Hey, you don't say that. It's too good. All right, guys. Well, I guess I want to say, first thing I want to say is thanks to all of you who are members of my channel. I have 103 of you who are members currently of the channel, and if you're here and you're one of them, I just want to say thank you very much. Means a world to me that somebody would be willing to support the content that I spend time making with real actual dollars. That's never expected though. So for those of you who are just subbed and aren't members, there's no expectation to ever become a member, but I just want to thank those of you who are. I will be live again tomorrow. So as far as like housekeeping stuff, the stream schedule at the moment is 4:15 a.m. to about 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's kind of the rough schedule. Every day is what I'm aiming for. If you want to interact with me or chat outside of stream, the best place to do that is Discord. So we have a Discord, and I say we because it's much more our Discord than it is my Discord. Chat was the one who really wanted to start one. So if you want to join that Discord, please come. We'd love to have you. There is an application process, but the application it's really there just to keep riffraff out. So you're more than welcome to come join. What else? Is there any other? Yeah, I think that's the only other housekeeping item. We're gonna be a Go developer for the foreseeable future, and then try to have some fun with it. All right, guys. If it is Saturday for you, I hope you have a awesome Saturday ahead. If it's Sunday for you, because time zones are mind fuckery, have a wonderful Sunday. And if I don't see you later today in the comments of a short or a video or something like that, I hope I see you tomorrow morning. You guys are always welcome. If you see me live, stop in, say hi. Even if it's just to say hi and you jet out, I always appreciate hearing from you guys, especially familiar faces. Otherwise, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go refill my coffee cup, go hang out with my folks. All right, y'all. Bye, Shudo. Have a good day. I love Lamp. You have a wonderful. Thanks for sticking with me. You're brand new to the channel, I think, and I appreciate you being so engaged with us all in chat. You have a good day. And everybody else, if you're still here, see you guys. Have a good weekend. Bye. Bye, chat. See you guys.